Thank you all for coming. I'm glad that we had the turnout that we have. This is awesome that people are very interested in what's going on. The intent of this meeting was to gauge the interest of the public in this area, right? So Commissioner Netherland has actually been talking with our public works staff to say, I really want to figure out how we can actually create connectors on Rasor Road. And so we've put together some very, very preliminary looks. We've looked at a number of different avenues that we could take to connect between 108 and Highway 3. Really, ultimately, and all the way down to 106. So this is I believe this is the path that Randy preferred. You can actually talk a little bit more about that. But I just want to talk to you about the intent of the meeting. So the intent of the meeting was to say, hey, we're starting to talk about potentially putting in a connector through Rasor Road. And so let's engage the public, see what you guys think about it, gauge the interest. Is this something that the community in this area would want? To make it a county road that the county then maintains, and it's all part of our road infrastructure. There's a number of different ways to go through and finance a road like this. Okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about one of those options and how we do it in the public process that's involved in it. We have put together, I would call them guesstimates on what we think it might cost to do this project. But they are so preliminary that I'm very concerned about putting out numbers to the public right now, because once we see numbers, we kind of get attached to them and we think, oh, this is it. And so it's not intended to provide you with hard numbers tonight. It's really just intended to say, tell us if you're interested in us continuing to pursue options for creating Rasor Road all the way through. Okay? So we do have some maps up here. I definitely encourage you to sign up over here. We can send you additional information. I've heard that some individuals received the notification. Obviously, we have some individuals that received notification directly. And we had some individuals that said their neighbors didn't receive anything. And so definitely want to get those individuals to contact us also and sign up for information associated with Rasor Road so that we can distribute the information that we have and we can notify people. Mondays we have briefings with the commissioners where we talk about details associated with this. We have talked about a number of different options on briefings in the past. I can get you the dates of those if you're interested, and you can go back and watch them. Thank goodness we have Dietrich that's always here to videotape all of our meetings that we do have, and those are available for viewing. So I'm going to turn it over to Randy now to kind of talk about what his vision is.
So, 15 years ago, people started approaching me when I was a port commissioner about the different issues that were happening on that road, on Rasor Road itself. Over the years, people would be working on it, money would disappear, have to redo it, rebuild through it, and over again, people would say, why doesn't the county just do it? Well, we don't do private roads, normally. That's not how things go. And I want to make really clear, there's no decisions being made here tonight. The purpose behind this meeting is to actually talk to you for a second, see if it's something you're even interested in, because we have no interest in forcing it on you. None. Zero. This is something that we've been being told for years, please come and save us. There's many of you that say save us. That's an actual term because it gets so bad. There are others over the years who have gotten mad at me because they may have one person in particular I almost got in a fist fight with because he has an illicit operation at the end of the road. We all know it. It's just how it works. But we're here today to talk about what it looks like. We just created our first road improvement district since the 50s. It's a very small road. It helps teach us how to do it. So if we decided to do it for Rasor Road, we'd actually know how and be able to work through a process. The only way that's even going to happen is if it's something you want to do. You're going to have to take on some of this work if it's like you said over and over again, thinking this is what you want. You're going to have to take on someone and we're going to help you to try and make it happen. Now, we have found a way to make it a benefit to the county as well, but it's not one we have to have. One of the things we know for sure, according to the fire department, If we put in this with connectors on both sides going to Trails and Lake Road and coming onto Highway 3, we can trade the response time for law enforcement and firefighter from 21 minutes down to 7. That's a lot of life saving if that happens. There's others that want it because they understand and believe that sunlight disinfects. They have different things that are going on that road, and they think that it's brought to the light and it's made public and people can see when they're driving by, and they have a cleanup. There's others out there that say, I don't want nobody driving by my home. And they're entitled to that. That's the thing I want to point out. So this is the idea that the only way this is going to work is if you will all work together to do it. Now, what happens if an RID is created, the idea is that the county comes in, and we'll have further definitions on how this works. The county comes in and basically becomes the bank and makes it happen. For us, we still have to spend millions of dollars on our side, which, let's be honest, guys, we just don't throw around money like that. But the millions of dollars would also allow benefit to the community. That's why it makes it worth it to have something like an RID. Imagine if there's a catastrophe in Belfair right now. You have trestles on both sides of Belfair. If they go down, how are you getting out? Well, this would allow for an opportunity for it to get out. Years ago, there was a talk of a different type of road, which was more like a highway. They called it a connector for 101. That's not what I'm talking about, and that's not what I heard from the neighbors. What I heard from the neighbors is they'd like a residential road. But again, that's not up to me. It's up to you. It's up to you to decide what you want, if you want it, and we're here to try and give you an opportunity to attain what you were hoping to do, or, if not, to stop it. Now, the route that we've been talking about right now does not, for those of you that are here from Alderwood and the like, this does not include that. The reason why this discussion does not include that is Alderwood is a side road that goes off of that would connect to 106. If Rasor Road does not want to do this, Alderwood's not going to happen. Literally, this is your main core, and we could bring others in to share the costs. And it'd be beneficial to them if they chose to do that, but it'd be beneficial to everybody if you chose to do it because everybody shares in the cost of the construction. The way it would most likely work is we're looking at you taking care of the cost of that one area as we put the connectors on the end, and that'd be millions to create it out of nothing. So with that again today, this is not to force anything on you or to tell you this is what you want, because I'm not telling you what you want. You got to tell us what you want, because the ones that are going to carry the main share of the burden is you. Now, one of the things that's different for those that are on your road association, when you pay into an RID, there's usually a limit, a 10-year limit that occurs. After 10 years, then you don't pay into it anymore. Unlike a road district that you have to pay into it forever. But you also have to decide amongst yourself, that's where that money's going to go, and you're willing to let it go away after the 10 years when the county takes it over, because it's on your deeds. So with that being said, I hope you'll understand. I'm saying it over and over again because I don't want people to think we're trying to force this on you. This is something people have been begging me to have the conversation. We never had the ability to do this until we finally just did our first one since 1950s, which was the Harston Island Bridge. That was the last road improvement district that we had in Mason County. Well, now we did a small one. We have an idea how to do it. And the biggest, most beneficial thing that I've always had in my district was you guys always hitting me up on it. No matter where I go, I have people ask me all the time, and I wish I could have told them over the years, sure, we'll fix that road, sure, we'll fix it, but we can't. It's private property. In order to do it, you're going to have to say, private property, we want to work with you in order to do this. I'm going to turn it over so somebody can explain some of the financing aspects of it. But again, I want to remind you, there's no set amount yet. This is several stages. If you decide you want to do this, we're going to come back to you with numbers. At any time, you can continue to say yes, or you can say no. Think about that for a minute. You can say no, but if you want it to happen, you're going to have to work together. You've been trying to do it forever. If you can't work together, it won't happen. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our staff to explain a little bit more. I'm going to have them explain that first.
Before you have them explain, you have them introduce themselves and tell us who they are.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me hit this part up. This is Mark Neary. This is the county administrator. He's over the top of public works and everything on behalf of the county. Okay?
Okay, so my name is David Smith, and I work in the Public Works Department. And the first thing I'd like to do, I'd like to introduce Kobe Brother. She's my assistant. She's the Assistant Construction Engineering Manager. And so a while back, there was a questionnaire sent out, and I don't know if everybody got this, but the very last question says if you have additional comments. So we made a copy, a bunch of copies here, and if after tonight you have additional questions, if you just grab one of these and then write your question out and leave it, and then we'll address each one of these. And if you give us enough information to contact you, then we will. So, and another thing is we have a sign-in sheet here. I encourage everybody to sign in, because that way we have a record that you were here, and if we need to contact you, then we can set, we'll have your information. So typically, what I would do in the Public Works Department is I get into the nuts and bolts of some people call them a CRID, and some people call them a RID. I call them a RID because they're road improvement districts, but some people call them county road improvement districts, same thing. What it is an opportunity. In a nutshell, what a CRID does is it gives the advantage to the property owner, if there's an interest, to do an improvement. There's lids, there's utility improvements, there's road improvements, there's sewer improvements. It's an advantage to where if you wanted to get your road improved, and you went to the bank and said, well, there's 250 of us, and we want to borrow money to do it, it's not going to work. So really, a lot of people think the creator of the RID is to build a road for you. But it's not really. It's to finance it. Now we do construct roads. We can have engineering work done. We can do the engineering work. We can do the construction. We can bid the construction out. But the primary benefit of a CRID is that we have one central location where it's being financed. Okay. So that's the advantage of it. And some other bits of information is that the map that was sent out was just an arbitrary alignment. In other words, it could go further, it could go less, and it could be broken down into pieces. But this was just an example. And so at some point, a boundary has to be established. And the boundary is quite arbitrary. In other words, you can include just the properties that front the road. You can include properties that front the road and properties that access onto the road. It just depends on the interest. It depends on how many people want to be involved in it. So once the boundary is established, if there's a boundary, if this were to move forward and it would be established, there may be, I don't know, 150, 200 homes. But some of the state law requirements is that 50% or more, 51%, I should say, of the frontage, property frontage, has to agree to it. So you have to have more than 50% of the frontage, and then once the boundary is established, if it goes beyond just the frontage, 50% of the people overall within that boundary have to agree. So those two things have to be met. So another state law says that in order for this grid to move forward, that it has to increase the value of your property more than what you're paying. As an example, if you're paying, I don't know, say in 10 years you're paying $500 a month, I'm just throwing it out there. Over time, whatever that amounts to, it has to increase the value of your property by at least that much. So, those are primarily the things that we consider. And so, there's two ways to do a grid. One, it can be proposed by the property owner. Typically, there would be a person that spearheads it, or a couple people, or an association that spearheads it and says, hey, we want to do a road improvement district. So what we would say is, okay, talk to your neighbors, get a petition, show us that there's interest, and that would be something that they would do, and they would submit it to the county. And then we would take that and say, okay, it looks like the majority of the people, on the last grid that we just did, the majority of the people, same thing, we would say, okay, this is, has legs, it can move, we can make this thing happen perhaps. So then what we do is we verify the names, and then we contact the people, and then we have meetings like this, and make sure that people are on board with it, and then if people still want to do it, they can change their mind at any point. If they still want to do it, then we move forward with it even further. So then we start looking at costs, boundaries. Does it include this piece? Does it take this piece out? So then the boundary has to be established. And you may not want to be in it, but you may be in it. If the majority of the people in it want it, then you will be in it. Or you may want to be in it and not be in it. Typically, we try to include the people who want to be in it, because we want everybody to benefit. So then the process moves forward again. And then we come up with a design, cost. Maybe we'll come up with alternatives. If you do it this way, it's going to be $500 a year. If you do it this way, it might be $550 a year. And then it all depends on the interest that you get, because the county goes and talks to a bank or a lending institution, and then they say, okay, we can give you the interest rate here or there, depending on the dollar amount, and then we move forward and establish it. And then at some point, they will final vote with the Board of County Commissioners, make the final determination if it's going to happen, and if it does, then that's how it gets started. That's how it works.
And then how it's built.
Well, it can be built a number of ways. And this is the last one that we did, in that particular case, we're going to do the construction of it. It's actually, it's got a road bed that's in really good shape. It's been maintained over the years. It didn't require that much top course, base course and top course. And so what we did is we graded it, or we're going to have either a contractor or a county worker grade it and prepare it for a two-shot asphalt mix over the top of it. That's the way we did the last one. But then it just goes to construction, and then we construct it, and then at that point, once it's done, then you start paying the 8 or 10 years. However, I think the board actually can determine the period, whether it's 5 years or 10 years or whatever. I believe that they have the property to do that, so, but that's where that comes from, so.
And then it comes out as on a portion of your property taxes. So it actually comes as a billing on the property tax statement, and it's attached to the property.
So you would pay it at the same time as you pay your property taxes?
Yes.
Yes. So now, one of the things I want to add on to that, even though it's 50% or 51%, 50% plus 1, that's not how the county usually works. I was a board commissioner for 6 years, before doing this already for 12 years. I've never been in favor of taking somebody's property. It's just not what I do. So I can tell you from my own standpoint, I can't speak for the other commissioners, you're going to have at least a super majority of people who want to do this, because I have no stomach to go in and force people to do something they don't want to do. But at some point, if you all believe and agree that it's beneficial for everybody, which if it's done right, it can be. As I said, 21 minutes to 7 minutes. Or how many years have you gone through and ripped all your stuff to shreds trying to go up and down that road? I know I've even done it for all those years. But one of the things to understand is when we were talking about how to stretch it out, and most likely if it is done, it'd be done over a 10-year period for stretching it out to keep your costs as low as possible. That's how it would be done. But it's also would include the county also paying for parts of it if we end up doing it, because there's some parts of it to make it work that you couldn't, and you just have access to. So if the county's going to do it and going to put in that money, again, they're going to want you to be supportive of it, because we think we're doing it for you. That's one thing I want to say one more time. We think we're doing it for you. If we're not doing it for you, then we don't want to take that on. We haven't done it anywhere else. Usually anywhere in the county where we've ever done anything this large. But we're willing to look at it this time because we've had so many people, and I see so many faces in here that have been the ones that have basically begged us to at least look at it, to consider it. And so that's why we're here. But one more time, I want to remind you, we're not here to force it. We're not here to make you do anything. We're here to find out if you want us to do this, and if so, we're asking you to start a process. Because with that, we'll try to help you with that process, help you get it through. But it's you guys that are going to have to decide that you want it, and then we help work you through it. And in the end, We decided as a county to expend our dollars along with your dollars to make it happen, and we agree as a county to borrow, because the money outlay has to come from somewhere, so we borrow from bonds or whatever in order to have such a large amount of money. So I even hate to open it up for questions right now. Is there anything else you want to add?
No.
Mark? Then I'm gonna open up for questions, but I'm gonna remind you of something. I'm not here to debate with you, or argue with you, or anything else. Because again, it's not my thing, it's yours. And if you don't want to do it, I'm gonna look at you and say, cool. Then we don't do it. If you want to do it, I'm gonna look at you and say, cool, well, let's get to work and try to make it happen. We're doing this now because of you. I'm gonna start with you right here. But again, please keep your questions mellow and easy if you can. And we're not gonna be able to give you certain numbers or something like that, since we have a preliminary stuff. We don't have it baked in. To give you numbers would be inappropriate at this time.
You said if we're stretching it out 10 years, how soon is the road completed?
Well, we don't know that for sure, but we will,
10 years to build the road?
no. The 10 years is for the payment of it. That would be expected to be done fairly quickly. One of the reasons that this has the possibility of doing it, although that road is horrible, it's been there forever. And it has a bed. It has a very wide, extended, deep road bed to work on. When the staff went out there and looked at it, they noticed how deep and how much of that we can actually use, which would keep the cost down enough to make it easier. And the width of it is already wide enough to work with it. So we looked at these different things trying to find, can we even do this? And with that, that's where that came out of. Now, we have somebody that's in the community that's actually got a lot more information. We're going to run into some roadblocks. We're doing it because we know there's issues with that. But again, we start to work through that if we decide we want to do it. Next question. Yes.
So, Mr. Smith said that this is being done somewhere else, but we haven't done this before. Can you give us an example of where this is happening in Mason County?
It's a very small road up the Lake River. Very small road. How long is that?
1.25 miles.
Okay, and it's very small. But at least once you do it, then you can, copy and paste. That's what we all do nowadays to get through. You have to establish the first one, and there's a lot less people on this one. So a lot less people to work with, but they wanted it. They went out and they did petitions, they brought it all and did the work to do it. Then they came to us and I gotta tell you something funny. When we were having a hearing on it, one lady, when we were postponed, was yelling at us because we don't take care of the road, because we did this, we don't own the road. It wasn't ours to take care of. By doing this, when it's done, that's the big difference. It's brought up to a county standard, the county takes it into their bank, and guess who maintains it from then on? Guess who makes sure that it stays at a level that is good enough for you to drive down it and have a safe access? Yes?
I'm just need some clarification. Is this for, is the county use it, is the county use it for emergency services as far as still and or is this a test officer?
No, that's right. That's a good question, because there are issues on the end of Trails End. Whether they would use it for that, I don't know. But there's millions that the county would come from the county in order to make that road. The
Can
reason
you
why
tell me
that.
what her question was? We can't hear over here.
Her question was whether or not this is people-driven or county-driven because there's issues on Trails and Road. And the answer is that it's people-driven. We have our own issues on Trails that no matter what's going to have to be effective and fixed. This might be an access while they're fixing it because Trails End is sinking every year. It never falls all the way down, but the weight of the road creates enough where it pushes down each year and creates a problem. The only way to fix that eventually is going to be to do some major stuff. But the reason why we're here today is nothing to do with that. But I would take advantage, if I was commissioner, I'd want to take advantage of that if we had a road. It's because the people here have been contacting us and asking us for years. Yes?
I guess I just, I'm concerned because the county is needing this, but it's also people doing why is it people on Razor Road being for it? It's not like the county needs as far as it is.
As I said, if you guys don't want it, it's not going to happen. It's up to you. It's not that the county needs it. I'll make it really clear. It's not that the county needs it. We're here, and I'm taking this chance with all this, and I've been fighting this at the county to try and bring it forward for you to discuss, because you have been asking me for it for years, and I can't deliver it. I would love to have just given an I dream of Jeannie and made it happen. So with that, the only way it happens is with the RID, a road improvement district. The only way a road improvement district happens is if you want to do it. Because the county does not have the bandwidth, the money, or anything else, to throw it at it, for private property. I want to remind you, that is not our stuff. In the end, if we put millions on both ends of the connectors, we're going to want to need it for the county. That's the only why we put those millions is in order to help the county, because we don't take our money to make your property more valuable. That's not the. Hold on, right here.
Okay, I've got the welfare mobility plan for 2018, where the county has been looking at for
Yes.
quite a while.
Yes.
Talking about Cedar, talking about Alderwood, talking about Rasor and Trails End. So if the county's already been looking at this and thinking of doing that as a project, why now all of a sudden it's just our area that will be then paying for this project if the county's been looking at it for a period of time?
We look at a lot of stuff, but our plan doesn't mean it's going to happen. That's not how it works. And the reason why it's happening now is, to be honest, because we had one RID that just occurred, which shows us how we can actually pull it off. But again, that's on the plan because people tell us they want us to look at it and look at those options. So let's put it in our plan to look at it. But over and over again, we're looking at it and saying, that's private property. We're not going to spend millions of dollars in order to benefit private property owners. When they bought out there, and I mean no disrespect, but let's be honest, you bought your property out there at a cut rate because you didn't have highway access. So there's benefit that happens when you put these roads in where your property values go up. We're not allowed to do it just for that purpose. We're just not. That's a gift in the public funds. But in this situation, if it worked out, it's going to be a partnership between all of us. But for your area, you have to cover your own weight or not. If you say no, it's not going to happen. So if you don't want to do it, then we'll mark it down as a no for you.
Technically, we live at the lower end of Rasor Road, and it doesn't affect us at all, except for the fact that we reduce traffic going up and down our part of the road. But we'll be paying into it, and it affects nothing on our property.
Actually, if you're on that lower part of Rasor Road, and everything you've looked at, you're talking about part coming up the hill from 106, that's not going to be included because there is a very, very, very drastic road issue there.
And I read all that.
Yeah, it would cost a huge amount of money to overcome. So most likely.
So we then will not be paying taxes then to do the improvement?
Well, nothing is established yet. What I've seen, I haven't seen where you would, any scenario where you would. I'll put that way. But remember, you can ask these questions, but there is no direct answer.
Right.
It's going to come from what you get over here. Hold on, I've got a few more here in the back, the gentleman back here.
Yeah, why don't you just tell everybody, I know about it, the little rig you're doing is called East Shetland Road. And next spring, when you hopefully do it, I'm gonna drive up there and see how nice it is.
Yeah.
It's East Shetland Road, you not say
Yeah,
that?
that is the name of the road. It's up by Lake Limerick. It's East Shetland Road. That's the road that is the road improvement district that was brought about by the citizens of that area. Hold on one second.
So you've already said that the boundaries that are currently shown on the map can change, correct?
Yes.
So because of how much of a benefit this would be to the Trails End and West Razor people, does that mean that while everything's getting fixed over there, and because they're getting the connector and all the benefits that you've listed here tonight, does that mean boundary can be extended to include them to pay into this?
I don't know. We have to look at that because I know there's limitations what they actually consider a direct benefit. But again, this isn't being done for them. It's just part of the benefit that would come to the county. And that's why the county would be spending the money to do parts of that on the connectors. Before I get to them and ask them, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a little bit specific, but where the power lines, road would come from Highway 83, under the power line right now, the rest of it that goes down the east Rasor Road, that would still have access to this proposed road that you're putting in.
I would never see any situation where we block off the road.
Okay.
That just doesn't
yeah.
seem, it wouldn't be, but to take the money and do it as an improvement in an area we know is going to suck up million may not happen. And again, nothing is in stone. I'm just giving you ideas of what we're doing. I'll get you and then I'll give you. Go ahead.
So if the county actually, if this actually happens, and the county then takes over that section, does the county take ownership of that part of the people's property that are
That's a great question, because that's what I was telling you, that this county, as a government, is not one that just takes stuff. But if we do this, that's what's happening, is there's an ownership at that point of those properties, of that easement at the very minimum. And in property, ownership of easement is value. It just is. If I took an easement through your property, I changed the value of your property. I changed your access into use. And that's not appropriate. In my world, that's not appropriate for government to do. So it's less likely. That's why you have to be on board in order for this to work. Yes, in the back.
One is a simple question, like, when you looked at Razor, did you look at the part that goes through the seasonal lake? That will need a fair amount of drainage. I think that's slightly different than what you call that big road bed that's going on the other side.
They've gone out and looked at all of it, and they drive it for many other reasons. She asked if it would affect that low area. She called it a lake bed, but the low area. And yes, staff is looking at it, but that's, again, we don't know the cost of doing it until we get to that point to find out what it's going to cost to go through that and to breach that. And we're not at that point now to spend the money to do that. Yes.
And then a real follow-up, I was reading earlier today about the road improvement district, and one of the things we said in the state law, and what it sounds like the county would not be willing to do it, is we can either gift that part of our land to the county and the right tax that gets done, or there is the way to have the county actually compensate at a fair rate for that. It sounded like there was a way to do that. And those are the two options, either you gift it or the county has to pay for it.
Yeah, so what she's saying for those that can't hear, there's a couple of options with doing this. It's a gifting of it from the landowner or the county buying and compensating for it. And I can tell you, I'm only speaking for one commissioner. I have no interest in taking my other people's dollars from that live in Lake Limerick or live in Belfair or whatever and use it to do that. So therefore, again, and I think our commission has basically expressed the same types of concerns because they don't like to take property as the ones that are in there today. That's why you have to want to do this. And if you don't, it's probably never going to happen. Let me get a few more that haven't asked any questions yet. Yeah.
Chris Jorgensen, Mason County Community Creed. We want to pledge our support and encouragement about this. It excites us a lot. So we're really excited to hear about this plan. We do have some concerns about the entrance of SR3 with the transmission right away being there. I understand this is just preliminary, this is being given interest. There are other thoughts being given about other entry points in
Yes.
SR3.
There are. One of the things that started this, remember I've been here for a long time, guys. That used to be a road we used. Yeah, so, okay, so a lot of you have been here, so because we used it, that was historic, and that's why I know we had access all those years ago, that even though there's a certain property owner or two who's passed away now that would want to fight that, we know for a fact that it was part of the access, it was allowed use for enough years to where it can. But after having that discussion and looking at it for that same reason, because of historic use, a past Public Works Director looked at me and said, well, Randy, why wouldn't you go closer to the trestle? I drove by there, I'm like, that's flat land. What a concept. He says, that's what I thought about when I was doing this. It's like, okay. So are we set on the entry and exit? No. We need to look at the best way to get it done. Because I can tell you, we all know that that one hill is, yeah, it's pretty incredible. Is that doable? I believe it is, and looking at the grade, it is possible. Is it optimal? Absolutely not. But remember, there's other property owners involved. As I told you for myself, I'm not a guy that believes in owning property. I'm just not. But I want to make sure I get the ones that haven't asked questions yet. Yes, right here.
What's the process of moving forward? What's the nuts and bolts?
Well, hopefully, somebody who has an interest in it will pick up the charge. That's the best way to do it. Is usually that the community gets together and maybe get one or two or three people. And those people would start getting signatures of support. That would be what I would say would be the next step, is to get an idea of how many people want to do it. And then once we get an idea of people that do want it, and that's presented to the county. And then once we get an idea of it, then we'll start looking at the boundary. Should we include these pieces or not? And so the next step to do is to get something in writing about the support from the community.
So just so you know, I've got one over here, one here, and then you, and then I'll try to back down. And I'm gonna add to you that, again, the county's willing to, we've got this far to where all this town, we're having meetings. They're willing to help you, and you're gonna have opportunities to contact us and to work with us. We're willing to help you to get there, but you're gonna have to carry the load. When you need help after you get to a certain point, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to, and we'll try to help you some more. But again, it'll come down to what you want to do and what you're willing to take on, because this is your home. This is your property. This is not the county's. So if you want to work together, I want to be able to help you, that's for sure. I'm going to go with you first, and then you, and then we'll come again. Go ahead.
How many additional cars would that entail if you open up Trails End area and Rasor Road West? Because there's a lot of properties there. So we're just a little community now, but going in front of our property is going to be I figure, a whole lot. So how many properties are in that area?
Well, I don't have an answer for you how much it would increase because they already have access. But the thing I can tell you is there will be an increase. But again, it will be a county road, so people will be allowed to use it. If you don't want it, then you'll tell people you don't want it because you don't want any more cars in front of you. You'd rather have a dirt road. And that's okay. But I'm just telling you, there will be an increase. I just don't know what it would look like.
One other question. Is there any figure for how many cars go down Trails End Road now, the hill, down to 106?
No, we haven't done any of that.
Yeah, that's all.
It's all. Check out?
Yeah. Typically, I mean, we haven't done a count. It's a private road, and we haven't done any counts on the private roads.
It's a private road. I'm talking the Trails End.
That's still a private road. It's not owned by the county. We don't usually put counters on roads that are not ours.
No, we're connecting it to a county road.
Maybe. Like I said,
According to the map, it's showing it's maybe.
hold on, that may not even happen. It's up to everybody and how it works. But I can't give you an exact answer on it because we don't have those numbers. It doesn't exist. It's not our property. If you guys start telling me that you want to go deeper, then most likely that's going to be one of the things they do is put a count on it. But at this point, that doesn't exist to give you a number.
What I'm talking about is the hill, the hill. It's okay.
Oh, Trails End?
Hill going down,
Oh.
or next with 106, okay?
Okay.
There's a lot of traffic in there.
Because there's three roads. There's Alderwood, there's Rasor, there's Trails End. I don't have those numbers, but we'll get you those numbers through the contact, because I do know that we do have those numbers. I just don't have them myself. But we do have those. I know we do. Okay,
Okay, so I just want to say thank you to everybody's comment for getting this at least together. This is a big deal. There's obviously already been money and time spent on it, so thank you. I got a question for clarification. If you go on to the assessor's website, Mason County, it clearly shows from Highway 106 to the water tanks on Razor that stretch, the road, is actually owned by Mason County. So I need clarification.
and I got it for you, because I saw the same thing. I went on the maps, I saw that, I called staff, and they say, it's just the way the assessor has it, it's not real. There were things on deeds, but in order, I'll put it this way. If I put on the deed that I'm giving you something, it doesn't mean that you have to take it. If you don't take it, it wasn't given to you. So there were stuff on deeds that said it, but it was never accepted into the county's banks. And if it's not accepted into the county's road banks, now other than that, it's more of a mistake, in my opinion, from the assessor's office and the GIS on that. Because when I called, that's what they told me. You have a comment on that? Yeah, it's an error. But no,
Okay.
I saw the same thing. I did. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh man, this should have been fixed that the whole time. So I called them up and I'm like, you guys get out there and fix it. Yeah, I know. It didn't work that way. Yes.
What other stuff you know, like nail, fire hydrants?
Now, I can't speak for the mail or something like that, but one of the things that actually pushed this last push from the county to where we started looking to do this a little harder, two things occurred. One, the Shetland Road. 2, your trash. When you guys got that, you know how many calls I got when you guys got your letter? Believe me, I got your message, I got their message clear. So with that, there's other things that are gonna start collapsing around us where they're not gonna go up there. So again, it'd be more important to look at this and give it more of an option. So I would assume that, we'll start cutting here. I assume the trash would have no issue because it's a better road to go up than any of the other ones that they already do. But I can't promise you that because I don't represent them. I only am here representing the county. I don't have any legal authority over any of these. Absolutely. I don't know how it would be done. Why wouldn't we have a mailbox on an actual county road? That would make a lot more sense. And what are they going to do? Because we're going to give you an address, and the county isn't responsible for able to give addresses. When we give addresses, they're going to have to live, right? Okay. I have a fresh question to bring back.
Yes, there is consideration to include all the wood into that.
Okay.
Because my whole thing is, if you take Razor, people on 1 or 6 are gonna wanna take up all the wood to get to Razor to get to Shelton.
So her question, if you didn't hear it, was, is there a possibility of including all the wood? And the answer is absolutely yes, but only if Razor occurs. It makes no sense to do it, so that's why we're here tonight. This is all about Razor Road. If Razor Road decides that they want to change their stars and increase their property lines, increase access to their properties, and they want to come together and make some of this happen, the next step that would be smart is to then have another meeting to include them. The reason why? Cost sharing, number 1. Number 2, having access for all of you to be able to come down in the middle of it. Is that nice? I think it'd be beneficial to everybody. But it does not happen unless the main line happens. Still get this. Yes?
Also, if all the wood was added in, we paid $759 in our fees. If all the wood and Razor both were included, we could cut our dues almost nothing and be able to afford it.
Yep, and I would leave that to you and your HOAs, but I am definitely aware of that, because when that happens, I got those phone calls too. But again, I have no authority over your HOA, but it would make more sense to be able to utilize that money, to put it towards a road that's going to be better and improve your property, and then have it disappear after 10 years, compared to paying forever. Yes?
So this might be a while, 10 years. A lot of properties along Razor are all heavily established, and a couple properties have wells within 10 feet of the road as it is. We've got that same for Razor. If the county takes over the road, how is that going to affect setback rules?
So I don't have the exact answer of it, but normally what you're dealing with first is something that's grandfathered. So what the setback rule would still come into place though after it's built. So if you wanted to do something, you're not going to be able to put a well in right next to it. You're just not. So it would have an effect on you on your properties that way. And I don't know this all for sure, but it can affect what already exists.
Yeah, so we do road projects all over the county, and we often find wells, and so, we drill, if we need to, we'll just put it in a new well. I mean, those things can be overcome, they have to be on a case by case, so no one's gonna be left without water, no one's gonna be, but if it's existing and it falls within, what's considered to be, too close to the road, it's gonna be grandfathered in, or we'll pay for it to move it.
So even if someone's water line goes directly under the road?
Well, yeah, we have that already. That's all over the county. We allow for exemptions of that. Same thing with septic lines. Yes.
So, I feel it may be possible, I already know how I'm going to vote on this, but it became possible for a lot of people to make a decision because we have HOA that's intertwined, I was talking about all our properties are connected. We have retained an exorbitant amount right now. And there's a lot of variables with that as far as the state law and our utilities. And did all, it's just, are we gonna have all this information before, I need to know, can all the work handle that when non-local traffic, is there gonna be a survey done to find out exactly, probably about how much more non-local traffic we're gonna have on all of it, and we're gonna be responsible to
she's asking about whether or not, I forgot you can't hear, so she's asking about whether or not it would be still connected to the HOA for the future. She wants to know if the county would be paying for excess cars coming up there and stuff like that.
I was wondering, we're gonna get this kind of information before we even say, take a vote on it or anything, because it's really easy to say, it's like, well, you guys asked for it, do you want it, we don't know really how much. I understand, we're complete preliminary, but what is it, are we gonna have all this information in front of us? Because there's a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of different budgets.
And she's asking that she had more information in front of her before they have to make decisions. So, on that one, we'll hit that one first. We have no intention of making a decision on these things until you have information and we have information. We're not even close to that. Right now, you have to first decide you want to do it. But I want to remind you again, this is Razor Road issue first. Alderwood not. Alderwood can't happen if Razor Road does not. It just doesn't, it doesn't pencil, it doesn't work. Second, when it comes to paying for traffic, if more traffic is going up that road and it's part of the road improvement district, then no, you don't have to pay for fixing the road because it's part of the road improvement.
Well, I'm talking about Alderwood, people taking, like, we have a lot of non-locals that are like, hey, I'm gonna take Alderwood, it's not like 6, it's gonna take all the way down.
And they could, we can't limit people to do things that we
Oh,
have.
no, I'm not asking you to do that, I'm not asking you to do that, I'm just asking, are we gonna be, so our community, which we are, a lot of us are strapped, the dues are super high, and a lot of us won't be living on Alderwood, but we're gonna have to pay for that extra traffic, because the county's probably just gonna be like, that's not our road.
Yeah, to me, it never makes sense that you would even do this if you can't get your HOA on board to have that money go towards it. I don't see how you can be twice. Again, that's me, it's not up to me. I'm gonna measure, yes, wait. There you are.
My question is,
She asked if you own more than one property up there, would you pay for just your house, or would you also pay for your vacant one? And the likely answer is you pay for whatever properties you have. That's how it works, whatever properties that are there that you have. Because the assessment is spread out over all the properties that are benefited from it. That's how the assessment is created. Yes?
What if, on this so-said map, there is a large piece of property that is split up on this road? Will that then, once this is said and done, would that be reassessed to add any properties that have been added to this road so that our 10-year
So that's a great question. Okay. The reason why that's such a great question is it's something that comes before me on a lot of different roads. When a county actually splits you completely, it usually allows for an opportunity. If the county owns the road, it allows you the opportunity to create 2 parcel numbers. If it does not, if it's just a right of way and it doesn't actually split your property as in 2 parcels, then they keep it as 1 parcel number. Now, does that mean that can change? Yes. If this is what we wanted to try to do, we'd have to go through a process to do it because you don't just change rules and codes and stuff like that on a whim. There's a whole process that goes through. But right now, I do know that when it's a simple right-of-way only and stuff, then you stay with 1 parcel. If it's a separation truly of it from ownership on 2 different ones that separates ownership, they allow for 2 parcels. Or however many parcels are created by doing that.
What is the minimum, if something was developed? What's the minimum acreage? Or is that a question for someone some other time?
Yeah, that depends on, when you're rezoning, it depends on the zoning that you have. But if the question is, what is the minimum acreage for being able to build on? Because there's all kinds of properties that are not set with the zoning. For example, down Old Milford Highway, you have a whole clump of properties that are half-acre properties with the zone R5. They still get to build on. But if you take a piece of property and you turn it into another piece of property, you don't have enough for a well, and enough for a septic, then that's not a usable piece of property. Because there's limitations on minimums that are necessary in order to build. Yes?
I'm on the west side, and my concern is safety on just the road that's there. Those corners are very sharp. And I've asked for reflectors or guardrails or something because it's very dangerous. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we had a really bad accident. So, and then we add more. I mean, I understand how everybody else, I wouldn't want to live on that road, but I wouldn't have probably fought on that road. But that's just me.
And so with that question, you can ask for reflecting stuff, but we can't do nothing about it, it's not our road. So we can't give you guardrails, we can't give you reflectors, but after it's your road. I got you. The paved side. You guys have a nice Razor Road that's on the other side. Yeah, that's paved. If you're having issues on that, aside from any of this, give me a call afterwards. I talk to staff about trying to get some safety stuff in there.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, when this is created, it's gonna have to be brought to a certain level, it can't happen. If we can't bring it up to a certain standard, we're not allowed to just build it and drop a road anywhere. We have things that we have to follow. When we set a policy, when we set a regulation, we have to follow it. We have no choices. So for it to come into our banks, it has to be up to our legal acceptable standard. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, I was just curious, the drainage line that, by the PUD, that part that you're gonna connect from Highway 3 to existing Razor Road, is that a ditch, or is it considered a stream? Because at Deborah, when Deborah overflowed, it was under the railroad trestle, or not the trestle, but.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because I used to go.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have that answer.
Okay, I just was.
Yeah, because we haven't sent staff out there. Yeah, you gotta understand, there's other groups that come in automatically, environmental things that we have to look at. We can't just ignore them. They all have to meet every standard. Yes?
Looking in the mobility plan again, there was talk about different ways to pay for it, and of course the RID is one. It also talked about transportation alternative program as far as getting grants or anything like that. Considering this opens up from Trails End all the way through to Highway 3, is there any possibility that grants would be possible to help pay for part of it?
I'll let him answer that, but all the years I've been doing it, I have not been seeing big grants for things that are not connected directly to highway.
Right, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I don't know of any grant, we have lots of grants and a lot of strings attached to them, but I don't know of any grant that would cover, private roads like that. Usually they're higher roads like major collector or roads, so.
But I will say this, I've been talking to legislator, to Representative Dan Griffey. Dan Griffey's been pushing for this for years. He's a fireman, or an ex-fireman, and he's one of the ones that wanted this for many years, and he always come to me. So me and him have talked about it. And I do know that looking at the access points and stuff like that, I do know that he's willing to look at trying to help us to do things, but you can't put that into the calculator because it's just a hope. We can't put anything into the calculator until we actually have numbers, let alone a hope. But I do know that at least one representative is very heavily involved with this and has been asking for this for years. Are we?
One question, roundabout, were you thinking a roundabout on Highway 3?
We're not there yet at all. I have no idea.
That's what I'm thinking.
And they love roundabouts, but I don't want to jump on a shark. Where was the back, was on the back?
And to follow up to the lady up front, there's a large property between East Razor Road West and East Razor Road. One property owner, and I think she's asking me for the 200 acres or whatever it is. Is that?
83
What?
83 acres.
Okay, 83 acres. That owner only pays 1 fee.
Oh, I see.
But what if it's split up?
Right, that's,
Okay, so first, the amount that you pay is going to be based on what the property is. It's not just specifically one parcel, $1. That's not how it works. There's different variations they look at for determining the actual value and how it affects your land and how that can be parceled out.
but if that owner rejects a road, this project goes.
Not necessarily, no. One of the things I want to make clear again, I know I'm telling you that I'm not a fan of taking anything, and I never have in years like that. But I gotta tell you, if you get it to the point where you're this close, and you have the ability, then we're gonna sit down and have that conversation, because how do I deny somebody the ability to get an ambulance at their house in 7 minutes versus 21? So I'm not saying it's an absolute no, I'm just telling you, you gotta carry a heavy load, it's gotta be a big majority of us, not just 50% plus one vote.
A follow-up answer to Mark, I think it's Mark Case.
Yeah.
I own 2 potential frontage properties, and I have power and water. And I reached out to Public Works, and if I want to run empty pipes or whatever, I pay that.
Yes.
Now, if they screw it up, I think the contractor pays for what's there.
Let's hope. Over here, yes.
So my question, so to bring the road up to county code, who is financially doing that work? Who would do
Okay,
that if we got to that?
nope, I
Can
got
add
you.
one more after.
Yeah, so he's asking who would bring it up to county code. Well, that's what the RID is. The RID is to bring it up to a level that we can borrow the money and bring it up to a level so that we can accept it into the county base. That is exactly what you're paying for, is to get it to that level. And then as we get it paid off, we take it into the county base at that time because we can. It meets all the criteria to allow it. Second question.
And then the second one is, so you said we had to have greater than 50% for the frontage properties. So if you look, there's say 30 properties that are frontage land. So what you're saying is all to get this going, you have to have say, 20 of the 30 properties.
Well, it would be 16, I mean, if it's 30.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Right.
to give
The
a
majority.
majority
Yeah,
more.
but that's at minimum, but I believe there's more properties than that. You're
Yeah.
looking at just a small line, there's other properties that benefit from it, the roads come
Well,
off.
I'm saying, see, you say frontage, see, that's the question.
Yeah, but it's
What are
not
we-
necessarily all
What are we
frontage.
talking about? What is declared frontage property?
Yeah, that, for the absolute what's required, yes. But at the same time, there's other properties that are coming off onto it, there's no other access lane, they have to use it. They need something to use that as their access. So we can't just ignore that. So I want to remind you, we're getting pretty late, I don't want to, there's a lot of people here, I'm sure like to, so if you have a question, go ahead, we'll try that.
So the next step moving forward, we need to get a petition form.
What I would, and again, I'm nobody or nothing. First thing I would do if I was you have an HOA, get together, call an HOA meeting, start talking about it amongst yourselves to what it would look like. Then while you're there, start putting something down on a piece of paper to see what it looks like. Then after you get to that point, reach out to staff and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is something else we should be doing. You'll have an ability to have access to all of us. Hey, call us, use the direct contact, and we'll try to help you get through it. But in the end, it's not just the commission making a decision. They're gonna have to have a lot of support. Or it can't happen. Hey, guys, quiet for just a few more seconds.
Actually, I'm gonna try something, and it's not an official poll. But of the individuals that came here tonight, by a show of hands, how many of them are interested in us continuing this effort?
Wait, first ask on Razor Road. Those who aren't on Razor Road, raise your hand.
This is the map that you're showing me tonight.
You have to define what part of
On the
Razor.
dirt Razor Road, that's the main one we're talking about.
It's from the top of the hill in that direction.
Yes, but right now on the dirt Razor Road, how many in here are on the dirt Razor Road? Or right off it? Please raise your hands. Okay, and for this informal poll, how many, keep your hands up from there. Please, so we keep track.
You don't qualify, you're not up top.
How many of you are not interested at all? Lower your hand.
Not interested.
Actually, I'm interested, how many are interested?
Yeah.
And us interested? Okay.
All right. So, are there any last questions before we call this off for a night?
You could ask how many are frontage and how many aren't frontage that are.
Except for it's just.
We don't know that,
Yeah,
right? I mean, because we haven't really defined, I mean, this is a.
yeah.
But which you got a map of.
He just wanted to get a feeling if it's something you're interested in. Yes.
I just want to know that I believe I can prove this. There could be a majority interested, we could go through this process, get to a point where it's crazy money or whatever, and back out.
Absolutely.
So to explore it and you can find out, doesn't make a decision on its own.
No, absolutely.
If you're skeptical, it's still
Yeah.
worth saying, yes, I'm interested to explore.
Even halfway through, you're not close to making
Yeah.
a final decision on whether it's gonna happen. You're gonna have to have everything, because you're gonna have to be on board. If you're not on board, then you're gonna have to. Yes, one more for you. No. No. She's asking if there would have been a prepayment for 10 years before it gets built. The answer is no. That's why you do this in RID, you get all the money together to do it as a loan, and you use the loan money to build and construct the road. And then it will out over 10 years. After it's completed. Yes.
If you could send out in the email or to all the people in the community, if we could have the law that we would be paying, because I live outside, I live in Trails End Lake, but I'm going to use it and I'd be willing to pay. And I think there's other people, but in the law, I don't know what the law would say. I would be allowed to pay into it.
So one of the things I'm going to ask you to do right now, if you have a pen handy, I'm going to throw this man under the bus. Would you please give them your contact and email so they can call you and ask you, because I want you to ask them the questions. I want you to find out what you can find out. So go ahead, Dave.
My contact information?
I have 2 pens. You got a paper with something wants to write down? Here you go.
We get the name because we
Are you
We don't want people to know where you live. Hey, hold on, no worries.
Hey guys, we're going to stick around afterwards, so if you have any direct questions, you'll see them to ask them. There's one more email that one of the pens that should write down his answer. Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Right here, Randy.
All right, go ahead. Hey guys, here's the email and phone number. Actually, take my phone number first. It's all right, I don't mind. You can call me direct if you need me, that's what we do. I get 3,000 minutes a month, you're paying on our please go home from Harbor Safety Street. 360-490-7389. 360-490-7389. And?
Okay, so it's DW project at Mason County Water.
That's DW Projects.
I'm sorry, not it. P. Public Works Project.
That makes more sense. DW Projects at Mason County Wa.gov. DW Projects, Mason County Wa.gov.
If you could put Razor Road, that way we can separate it from the.
And what was your phone number again?
360-490-7389. And the request from staff was, if you're going to send them an email, please put Razor Road so they can automatically separate it out and get it to the right people. Okay, with that,
just remind you to make sure and sign up and give us your information here so that we can use it to, number one, recognize who showed up, and that you're interested in information on this, and then we have future email is great, so if we have future emails that we can send you information on this, that would be awesome.
and again, appreciate you all coming out here. We know that it took a lot. I'm sorry we don't have exact stuff for you, but this is how the process works. But remember, since the 50s, we've only done one, and it's a tiny little road with a few people on it. We will stick around after the meeting, I'm not leaving, so you'll be able to ask us any questions that you still need to ask. We'll stick around for you. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and please have a great night.
Real much. I really appreciate how well you guys.
Listen, I'm sorry. One more minute.
I just wanted to say I really appreciate the way that you guys conducted yourself tonight and asking us questions and waiting your turn. It makes it a lot easier for us to be able to document what those questions are and hopefully come up with the answers in the future. So thank you.
I want to ask one unofficial question that came from the audience, and I want to put it to you. How many of you live on the Alderwood Road or the Alderwood branch? Please put your arms out. How many of you would be willing to back these people if they decide to do it? Because the way it was put to me, he says, you know, ask them, people who hold their hands are willing to back Razor Road folks if they want to see this happen. If so, please raise your hand right now so the other Razor Road folks know that you're behind it. Okay, thank you everybody, and I can't stick around.